Big Mike steps up to the tee box.
Got a viewer here.
You know he's going really well.
Got a viewer.
He's looking for a regional championship today. Oh, what a beautiful golf shot. Fading a little to the left side of the fairway.
Mike, how old are you?
26.
Holy shit. I wouldn't have guessed that.
How old did you guess?
How old you guess? Like my age, like 22, 23?
Oh,
I'm 23.
I didn't. I thought you'd probably be closer to my age, actually, then.
Good.
I don't know. Maybe it's got to be the mustache.
Hey.
People always think I'm like 19 or 20. People always think I'm like 19, 20, 21.
How old are you?
18.
Okay. Yeah, give him grief. He's fresh out. He just graduated. Meanwhile, I'm going on year 7 of college trying to get a piece of paper to give me a fucking job. Oh, yeah.
The big ass.
It's got some mid spin on it. I'm assuming you're actually decent in golf, too.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I think that's probably about accurate. It came off the heel, so.
Is it 93?
Spin's probably about right there.
They're supposed to be hot, but they feel dead.
I don't know. Oh, that's money. Oh.
There's been so many of my.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to World
Look at
Long
that ball.
Drive Utah. Today
It
we
looks
have
like a bad
the
ball.
regional qualifier event. The top 5 finishers in this event will earn their way into the World Championships in October in Atlanta.
All right, so pretty much nothing has gone according to plan on this trip yet. When I Google map the whole journey from my hometown in BC down to Salt Lake, I didn't factor in that everyone here, or well, the speed limits here are 80 miles an hour, 85. The Touareg with this rooftop tent and its aerodynamics doesn't love that. I can only drive 120 max kilometers an hour. So I think that's like 70 miles an hour. So when I looked at maps and figured out how long of a trip it was going to be, I didn't factor in that I'd be doing 10 miles an hour under the speed limit. I thought I'd be doing, if anything, 10 over, because that's what in Canada most people do. So that was a little bit frustrating. That led me on night 1 to not be able to get to the campsite that I had initially planned. So I had to fly by the seat of my pants and just wait till I saw something on the side of the road that worked. So I did that for night 1. Can't find my ladder. There it is. The morning after that was quite frustrating because I was woken up at 4:45 in the fucking morning by some fishermen. Why you want to fish that early in Butte, Montana, I will have no idea. And I also didn't realize how high up that elevation was. I was camping at over 6,000 feet, which, for those of you that don't know, is really cold. I woke up and it was 6 degrees Celsius outside. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but I'll put the conversion. It's close to freezing. It was really, really cold. Now, I had just crossed the border into, I believe the time zone is called Mountain Daylight Time? MDT? Maybe? Regardless. It was 4:45 in the morning, that local time. Holy, that was loud. I had just crossed the border. I'm used to that being an hour before. So to me, that was a wake-up call at 3:45, which is ridiculous. The sun hadn't even come close to rising, and these guys were out trying to catch fish. And I mean, I don't know anything about fishing. I was at a reservoir that was like a dam. So the dam's like plummeting down to this little river. If fish were falling down that thing, surely they would like slap some rocks and die, but maybe not. I don't know. So that was a rude early wake-up call. Then after that, I had about a 10 and a bit hour drive left to Spanish Fork, Utah. to do the local qualifier at the Sweet Heat Golf and Long Drive. So drove all the way there, and we qualified, which was good, to make a long story short. But I was there. I was expecting to be there for like an hour. I was there for 5 hours, I think. So I got out of there at like 5. No, sorry. Got out. I was expecting to get out of there at 5. I got out of there at 9:30 p.m., which meant I couldn't make it reliably to my campsite in the dark because my light bar didn't show up from Amazon. I'm trying to turn my, there we go, my inverter on. So light bar didn't show up. I didn't feel confident in finding a campsite in the pitch black, and I was like falling asleep at the wheel because it was 2 hours to drive from Spanish Fork back up this way, and it was getting bad. So I literally went to the golf course that the Long Drive event was being held at, and I set this whole thing up in their parking lot. So that was interesting. There's a bunch of dudes wheeling up here with their rigs, showing off like they have light bars, and I'm sitting here in the dark like I'm Steven fucking Glansberg.
What, so I gotta sit here and eat dessert alone like I'm fucking Steven Glansberg?
There's the view of the tent. The bugs are ridiculous in Utah, so we have to close these ASAP. It's all full solar panel set up. I can't remember if I talked about it in a video before, but I've got an inverter down there. Well, solar panels on the top that go to a solar charge controller to a deep cycle 150 amp hour AGM battery if you're a nerd. And then that battery goes to a 1200 watt inverter, and then that inverter powers things like these lights, which have color changing and whatnot, but I'm not 14 anymore, so I don't really care about strobe lights or mood lighting or anything like that. Not a bad view from inside the tent. Oh, there's a Jeep going by. Sick roller. Yeah, the sunset was looking pretty cool, but it was a bit of a rush to set up the tent and get the drone in the air and whatnot, so I don't know if any of this footage is going to pan out, but yeah, there's the view.
Next up on the tee, in slot 1, Andrew Whistler. Slot 2, Cameron Groom. Slot 3, Andrew Eicher. Slot 4, James Anderson. On deck, Bronson Kreiser, Anthony Perez, Bob Foto, John Burkhardt.
I do a little bit of a rock and all down my muscle down my tibia. Oh, it's fucked.
Then you say you're filled up again.
So see how close we can get to 19. I got the distance part, right?
I thought you were doing it. I didn't even blink. There you go. Oh, that was sick.
It would have been cool if it was a good shot and I caught the half.
Yeah.
1 for 2.
Still cool, just not awesome.
Just mentally exhausted from driving for, it ended up being about 20 hours, like total, I think, from my hometown in BC down to here, and then physically tired as well because you're just sitting in a car like this, all stiff for that long, and then hitting golf balls. It's not a good mix. So the regional I blew up on, I did really, really poorly. I also had a terrible headspace going into it because I got really frustrated because nowhere on the WLD website or does anyone tell you that if you qualify for a regional at a local qualifier, you still have to pay for the fucking regional. What is the point? What is the point? Unless your local qualifier is like 2 doors down or like right where you live, there's literally no point, because I think the buy-in for a regional is $300 if you don't do any local qualifier. When you go to a local qualifier, you're always going to buy like 2 sets. So your always minimum spend is $100. There was one guy at the local that bought like at least 8 sets. It was crazy. So your minimum spend is going to be $100. Then it's $150 to get into the regional. So you're already just $50 away from just doing the buy-in at the regional anyway. Had I done that, I would have saved myself like 3.5, 4 hours of driving, 5 hours at that simulator, and not had to camp at a golf course. So not ideal. I'm still happy I went to that local because, you know, I met the Sweet Heat guys and kind of hung out there. And it was a lot of fun. So that's not necessarily the bad part. The bad part is I just didn't know, because had I known, I'm not all that interested in going to the pro worlds because I'm not at 220 plus ball speed. So what's the point of paying a bunch of money to qualify to go to worlds when I know I would just get slaughtered? So I kind of went into the regional, again, very frustrated that I had to pay in the first place and that I wasted all that time, energy, money, and fuel and everything to get to that local qualifier. So that's kind of what happened in the regional. And then I was in the tour event as well, which is the main thing I wanted to do. My body was so tired and exhausted. I tried to put this tent down, and you basically got to pull this lever to bring it down. I was almost too weak to do that. So going into the tour event, I didn't have high hopes. The body was not feeling great, and it was an absolute grind. I did the best I could. I hit what I thought were pretty good golf balls, and they just didn't translate. This grid setup, unfortunately, was not for me. I wish I could have filmed more, but it was pretty hectic, and when you don't have someone with you, it's hard to film. And my friends that were also competing, it's hard to get you to film each other because you need to be at the range practicing for your own shit and whatever. So anyway, I got no footage of me actually on grid. I think I took a few videos on the range, but anyway, this grid setup was not for me. There was like a hard spot at about 365 or 370 because all day no one hit a golf ball between like 370 and I want to say 385. So this hard spot, if you could carry a ball 370, it would just roll out to like 390 plus. If you carried the golf ball 360 or 365, it would land on like this uphill tall grass slope on the grid and just die and have like no rollout. And that's pretty much my carry number at this altitude. So I just physically couldn't, for the life of me, couldn't get a ball past that mark. So everything was just coming up dead. Even when I just center punched a ball, good spin numbers, like everything was pretty much dialed. I just couldn't get that little bit of extra yardage that I needed to get the rollout. So the tour event was really, really close. It ended up coming down to my last set where I needed to place first to make it into the next round. And I came second by 3 yards or 4 yards, one of the 3 or 4 yards. And then long drive is just such a game of the what ifs, because earlier in that series, I was in a set where I came third instead of second by 2 yards. So like that's a huge difference as well, because there's 50 points right there. And then the first place to second place, there's 100 points. So like within 5 yards, I lost 150 points. And that would have had me move on to the next round. So anyway, obviously didn't get the yardage. That's the game of long drive. And I got eliminated pretty early on in the tour event as well. That is going to wrap it up for the World Long Drive Utah content. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. Thanks for sticking around. If you didn't happen to see the other Utah videos, I'll link them just at the end of this video for you to check out as well. Not to sound like a typical YouTuber, but if you did enjoy this content and this series, please drop a like and consider subscribing to the channel. It really truly means a lot, especially to the small-time creators that are still kind of just starting out. And I have some big news coming for the channel in the next few videos, so you're not going to want to miss it. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.